Welcome back. Today we're going to plan for your happiest, healthiest, most productive, and hustle-free year ever. You're going to learn the 3 essential components to having a breakthrough year, the 4 things that all successful people know, and then you're going to create the roadmap for reaching the big goals that you've been putting off for years, but you're going to do it in a way that puts your mental, physical, and emotional health at the top of the priority list so that reaching those goals doesn't come at the expense of your overall well-being. I'm Rachel Harrison's son, and I help entrepreneurs live successful, balanced lives without the hustle and grind. If you're just starting out on your online business journey, go ahead and download my 4-step online business startup blueprint from the description down below. Okay, there are 3 components to your breakthrough year. Mindset, so that's the mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical practices that keep your mind in the zone it needs to be in to get things done. Strategy, the goals that you set for yourself and the action plan you create to reach them. And executions. This is the actual follow through on your action plan. So let's get started with mindset and the 4 things that all successful people know, and then we'll dive straight into strategy. So first, I just want to point out, when I'm talking about successful people, I am not talking about people who are purely financially successful. I am talking about people who are successful in most areas of their life. Because yes, we want to make a lot of money, but we don't have to give up health, family, fun, or inner peace to get it. So the first thing that successful people know is that your mind is your most valuable asset. You can't reach any level of success without it, so you've got to protect it at all costs with proper food, movement, sleep, rest, and relaxation. So this means that before you schedule a single to-do into your calendar, you need to pay yourself first by scheduling in your self-care items. So whether that's walks or other exercise, time with family, meditation, or any other spiritual practices you might have, time for rest. This is not an indulgence, it's actually necessary for you to operate at your peak. The next thing is that success takes time. We are so used to instant gratification, hearing about other people's overnight success stories, being told, everyone can do this, so you can too. And then on top of that, we're told that it should be easy, and if it's not, well, there's probably something wrong with you. Because of those things, most of us have completely unrealistic expectations about how long things should take. But there's always going to be a lag between when you start putting in the work and then when that work actually starts to pay off. This type of uncertainty can be really uncomfortable for a lot of us, but we have to embrace it because it is simply unavoidable. Now, speaking of unavoidable, that leads to number 3, which is that failure is unavoidable. So Robert Kiyosaki, whether you like him or not, said that people who avoid failure also avoid success. Now, the truth is that if you're not experiencing regular failures, you're not experimenting enough. Now, the key to this is to approach your goals like a scientist and view the results as a set of data points that you can then tweak for the next round of experimentation. This totally removes the emotional component and motivates you to try again until you get it right. Now, just as a quick example, I launched an affiliate program last year and it was a massive flop, but I learned so much during the process that now I know exactly what I need to change to make it a success this year. Number 4 is that you are the author of your own life. The future hasn't happened yet, and only you have the power to create that future. Now, it's true you can't always control external circumstances, and it's also true that we are not all starting from the same starting line. There are pretty wild gaps when it comes to access to knowledge and resources, but it is purely up to us to do what we can with what we have at any given time. Okay, let's move on to strategy, which is the fun part, in my opinion. But first, if you're liking this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe. It is super helpful for me and I really appreciate it. All right, before jumping straight into goal setting, it's really important to take stock of the year that's just gone by so that you can determine what's working and what's not. So ask yourself these questions. What were your biggest wins of the year? What were your biggest failures? What were the biggest lessons that you learned? If you set goals last year, did you reach them? Why or why not? Try to pinpoint exactly where things went off the rails. Were your goals unrealistic? Did you forget about them several weeks into the new year? Were there any limiting beliefs that held you back? Now, it's really important to be compassionate towards yourself here. This really isn't a time to beat yourself up over unrealized goals. Celebrate any progress, however small, and then just decide to look forward from here on out. And once you've properly taken stock of the year that just went by, it's time to start daydreaming about what a breakthrough year would look like for you. Think about all your life domains here. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational, professional, financial. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? what would true success look like for you across all of these domains? Not someone else's version of success, but yours. And ask yourself, what would I do if I couldn't fail? Now, next up is your action plan. So it's time to start drawing up your goals. Now, based on what you came up with in the last step, choose the top 3 to 5 things that you'd like to accomplish next year. Don't choose too many, or it's just going to be too difficult to achieve them. Now, for really effective goal setting, your goals need to be 3 things. The first is specific. So for example, learn to paint is not specific, but complete the acrylic painting for beginners course on Skillshare, that's specific. The second thing is measurable. So this is how you're going to establish your criteria for success so that you actually know whether or not you've achieved your goal. So for example, make more money, that's not measurable. Get a 10% raise or increase my revenue by 30%, that is measurable. Now, lastly, a really good goal is time-bound. Deadlines really drive action, and with no end date to light that fire under your rump, there's not going to be any real reason for urgency. Now, going back to the painting example, complete the acrylic painting for beginners course by April 31st, 2024 is a properly set goal. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's got a deadline. Now, for bonus points, I like to attach a why to each of my goals. Goals are much easier to reach if you know why you're doing them in the first place, and revisiting your why whenever your motivation dips is a great way to get that motivation back. So for me, when I'm setting my revenue goals, the reason I want to make more money isn't just for the sake of making more money. One of my whys is that I love travel, and I want to be able to take my kids on all these amazing trips and have them see the world and create amazing memories with them. Right now, it's time to execute. So we've got our plans, but the process isn't really complete until we pull out our calendars and schedule the action steps we're going to need to take to make those dreams actually come true. So have a look at each of your goals and then figure out what that very first action step you need to take in order to get the ball rolling is, and then schedule that into your calendar for some time this week. Back to the painting example, maybe that first step could be to buy the course and then complete the first lesson by Sunday. If it's to start a new online business and get your first paying client, maybe that first step is to create your business plan. You're also going to schedule 15 minutes into your calendar at the start of every week so that you can determine the next set of action steps and get those scheduled, and you're going to keep doing that on a weekly basis. So doing that every week ensures that A, you're reviewing your goals on a weekly basis so they don't get forgotten, and B, you're actually going to be making progress on each of your goals every single week. Now, big thing to keep in mind here, don't worry about making big, massive progress on a weekly basis. I'm sure you've heard that you need to take big, massive action all the time, but I want you to forget this and focus instead on incremental progress. It's just way too easy to feel frustrated with a perceived lack of progress, and that's when we're going to often feel like giving up altogether. But we know that success takes time, and just like money in the bank, incremental progress compounds with time. If you just focus on making progress every week, no matter how small, you will reach your goal, I promise you. I really hope this was helpful, and I wish you so much success this year. Keep these wise words from Dolly Parton in your mind as you take your first steps forward. You'll never do a whole lot unless you're brave enough to try. Now check out these videos next if you want some great time management tips. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, do share it with anyone else you think might find it useful, and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.